examined the paintwork and the rest of the body of the motor vehicle, inside and outside. He uncovered several previously repaired bullet holes. He concluded that the BMW was shot at not less than 6 times with a low velocity firearm. Paragraph 23. Captain Deborah Blondie Mapitso Moslala, number 21, attached to the scientific analysis section of the Forensic Science Laboratory, analyzed the two side mirrors referred to above and concluded that they were manufactured in the same batch. Paragraph 24. Captain Melvin Kamo Mukachwa, number 77, attached to the ballistic section of the Forensic Science Laboratory, links the AK-47 recovered on the 17th of April 2024 to the scene at the country club where the shooting took place. Sunroll was approached by way of a Section 205 subpoena to obtain data from the toll gantries. Sebastian Pillay, number 28, and Nompumelelo Yen, number 29, will testify to the movement of the BMW on the night of the incident, and that the BMW displayed the following registration plate, KJ13JBGP. Colonel Maria Susara Magita Brown, number 23, is attached to crime intelligence and compiled an analysis of the cell phones belonging to Mr. Simonioni, accused number 1, 2, and 3, and also Michael Kulitao, and accused in another matter. From the cell phone records, she inter alia found that there was intense cell phone communication between the cell phones of accused number 1 and 2, before, during, and after the incident. She further placed their cell phones at the Uko restaurant shortly before Mr. Savanioni and his friends left on their way home. She also placed their cell phones close to the crime scene at the time of the shooting. Paragraph 27. Karen Barras, number 22, is an analyst attached to CAP Security, a security company who assisted the police in the investigation. She inter alia did an analysis of the movements of the cell phones of Mr. Sibanyoni and, amongst others, the cell phones of accused number 1 and 2 that night. She further compared it with the toll gantries on the route between Uko Restaurant and the Centurion Golf Estate. Paragraph 28. Nomaswazi Mokwena, number 27, is an official from the Department of Transport and Public Works in Gauteng and opposed to 2 Section 212 affidavits pertaining to the information on the e-notice system on 2 registration plates, namely KJ13JBGP and LZ87SHGP. The importance of this is that the information on the e-notice system shows that the KJ number belongs to a Renault motor vehicle and not a BMW. Furthermore, the BMW was registered to the name of case number 2's daughter, Sandile Ntabiseng Mzama. The Tobijani incident, counts 9 to 14, paragraph 29. The complainants in counts 10 and 11, that is Teboka Tobijani, number 31, and Anele Alicia Malinga, aka Japan, number 32, as well as Antoinette Nandin Pretorius, number 34, and Natasha Mube, number 35, spent the day of the incident, that is 17 October 2023, together at The Grand, which is an adult entertainment venue in Sandton. They left the place shortly before 1800 hours that evening and drove to Morningside Shopping Centre, not far from there. They spent the rest of the evening at the Signature Restaurant until around 2200 hours. When Ms. Tobijani phoned her driver, Mr. Kumbulani Mube, number 33, the complainant in count 12 to pick them up. Ms. Tobijani and Ms. Malinga were together in the black wrapped BMW, driven by Mr. Mube, and the other 2 witnesses were in Ms. Victoria's Audi when they left the restaurant. Ms. Victorious will testify that she was aware of her WV caddy behind them at that stage. Paragraph 32. They stopped at the red traffic light at the corner of Bryanston and Walton Drive shortly after 2200 hours that evening. Ms. Pretorius will further testify that the Volkswagen Caddy came past her car, and when it was parallel with the BMW of Mr. Tobijani, the occupants started firing shots at the BMW. She noticed a long gun protruding from the front passenger side of the caddy. Paragraph 33. Ms. Malinga was seriously injured during the shooting incident and was rushed to hospital. She, and this is now in brackets, was left severely handicapped after this incident because of the injuries and walks today with great difficulty. Paragraph 34. Mr. Ngube, upon a request from the police, took the motor vehicle back to the scene after the shooting later that night, where the police photographer, Warrant Officer Mashakeni, that is number 37, took photos of the crime scene. Paragraph 35. Sergeant Matinya Jeffrey Macheru, number 36, was the first investigating officer. During his investigation, he obtained video footage from the Morningside Shopping Centre. This video footage will be presented in terms of Section 15, read with Section 14 of the Electronic Communications and Transactions Act, number 25 of 2002. This footage shows the arrival of the complainant and her friends at the shopping centre at around 5:45 on the 17th of October 2023 and proceeding to signature. It also shows the arrival of a silver VW Caddy with registration number HV24DXGP almost immediately after they entered the basement parking lot, and two males excited the Caddy. These two men are then seen over the next few hours loitering around the inside and outside of the shopping centre with no apparent purpose. The state alleges that one of these males were accused number 1. Paragraph 36. Sergeant Macheru further discovered that one of these males bought airtime at Woolworths early that evening. This was followed up, and the voucher number for the airtime is linked to a phone number that called Carol Makatini. Paragraph 38 deals with that below. The night of the incident, the SIM card was later placed into a cell phone handset which was seized in a Mercedes-Benz Viana on the 17th of April 2024. Accused 1 and Michael Pulitao were arrested in this vehicle. As a result of this arrest, Tao is currently accused number 1 in a murder case that will be set down for trial due to commence on the 26th of October 2026. Musa Kikana and Tia Floyd Mabusela, accused number 1 and 2, are respectively accused 2 and 3 in that matter. Paragraph 37. The registration number of the Volkswagen Caddy referred to above was picked up on the license plate recognition cameras, that is LPR cameras, earlier that day near the Grand, but also at the corner of Bryanston and Walton Drive at the time of the shooting. Paragraph 38. Upon further investigation, it was found that the Volkswagen Caddy was fitted with a false number plate. This registration plate was found to be registered with another Volkswagen Caddy belonging to a Sabelo Menzin Yandu, number 39. Paragraph 39. The bullet core that caused the injuries to Ms. Malinga was surgically retrieved and sent for forensic analysis. It was identified by Warrant Officer Impo Winnie Josephina Manamela, number 41, as part of a 7.62 caliber, that is an AK-47 rifle. Paragraph 40. Nompumelelo Carol Makatini, number 38, is the former girlfriend of accused number 1. And she confirms that she was in telephonic contact with accused 1 the night of the incident. She further pointed him out in video footage at Morningside Shopping Centre when it was shown to her. Paragraph 41. Ms. Tobijani made another statement after the incident in which she pointed out that she and accused number 3 were in a relationship sometime before the incident, but that it came to an acrimonious end. She further alleges that she knew incriminating information which could give accused number 3 a motive to kill her. She further states that accused number 4 might also have a motive to do her harm. Paragraph 42. Two analysts, Colonel Brown and Karen Burris, did an analysis of the cell phones and cell phone numbers belonging to accused number 1 and 2 and places them at the Grand during the time Ms. Tobijani and her friends were there, as well as at Morningside Shopping Centre later that day. Paragraph 43. On the 1st of April 2024, accused number 1 was arrested in an unrelated matter. During his arrest, his cell phone was seized. On the 21st of November 2024, Sergeant Mbele, number 48, booked this phone out from SAP 13 store and handed it over to Colonel Chesi for downloading. I need to just add here, my lord, that the state will present evidence here that Sergeant Mbele also applied then for a search warrant in terms of the Cyber Crimes Act before the downloading commenced. The downloads revealed, amongst other things, communications between accused 1 and 2 the day before the incident as well as on the day of the incident. On the 16th of October 2023, the day before the incident, there was WhatsApp communication between accused number 1 and 2 making reference to the Grand. Paragraph 45. Also on the same day, at 16:27:05, accused number 2 sent a WhatsApp message to accused number 1 that reads as follows. We're going to follow her out and work. Spoke to Majosi, we good. Paragraph 46. At 16:29:51, accused 2 sent a WhatsApp message to accused number 1 that reads as follows. What car will you be using tomorrow? To which accused number 2 answered, VW. Paragraph 47. At 16:39:03, accused 2 sent another message to accused number 1 that translated from slang reads as follows. I wish the matter regarding Tobijani works out. Aish. Accused number 1 responds, Aish, that's me too. Paragraph 48. Further communication on 17 October indicates that accused 1 and 2 were at the Grand at the same time as Tobijani was there. Paragraph 49. Accused 1 and 2 were arrested on the 24th of April and 17 May respectively in this matter. They appeared in court from time to time. The matter was unfortunately withdrawn at some stage due to a delay in the investigation. Paragraph 50. In March 2025, they were placed back on the roll by way of a J175 summons. They are therefore on warning in this matter but in custody on another matter. Paragraph 51. On 14 May 2025, accused 3 was arrested. 52. His bail application commenced in September 2025. This date is significant, which will become apparent in the discussion of the money laundering and fraud charges below. Under the heading then, the Tobijani incident relating to the money laundering and fraud charges, count 15 to 18, paragraph 53. On the 12th of October 2023, 5 days before the shooting, 20,000 rand is transferred from the FNB business account of Cat Protection Security, that is accused number 3's company, into the FNB account of accused number 5. She is accused number 2's daughter. And the only director of this company is, and I'll spell that for the record, Lwandlelake Construction and Projects. It's LWANDLELWAKHE. Paragraph 54. 15,000 rand is then transferred from this account into the FNB account of a company of which accused 2 is the only director, and that is Malzwandile Holdings. I'll spell that also for the record. It's MALZWENDILE. Paragraph 55. On that day, accused 2 sent a voice note to accused 1 saying the following. My man, and it still need hay, Ish Musa, while do we not have any work in hand like this, my brother? Let me call Cat, you know, and I ask him, maybe we can force to do something that me, you and Malankani can do together so that you are able to buy that car. Paragraph 56. In the early hours of 18 October 2023, the mother of accused number 2 and grandmother of accused number 5 passed away. The importance of this will become apparent here under. Paragraph 57. On the same day, a further 100,000 rand is paid over into the company account of accused 2's daughter, and in the exact same way as before. Later that day, 50,000 rand is paid over into the account of accused 2. The reference appearing on the bank statements in both instances is Medicare 24. Paragraph 58. On the 20th of May 2025, 5 days after the arrest of accused 3 and some 18 months after the passing of the mother, accused 4 proceeded to the funeral parlour, which handled the funeral for accused 2's mother, and collected a receipt for 70,000 rand. Peter Poko, number 50, is the owner of this funeral parlour, and Rocky Tong Chabaleng, number 49, is his secretary. Mr. Poko will testify that he instructed Mr. Chabaleng to create this receipt, but he said that he did so under duress and because of phone calls he received prior to this date. Paragraph 59. What is of importance, further importance, is that this receipt was created in a 2025 receipt book and can be found between the dates 16 and 19 May 2025. The date on the receipt was backdated to 26 October 2023. It is expected that the version of accused 2, 3 and 5 will be that the 120,000 rand was a contribution for the medical and funeral expenses of accused 2's mother. Lastly, the Mokobung incident, count 19 to 25, starting there from paragraph 61. On the 29th of January 2024, Austin Sinki Mokobung, aka DJ Becky's, number 74, and his friends Leonard Pulte Masongu, number 75, and Swarere Tsupise, number 76, were at Brian Maestro. Paragraph 62. They left at around 22:30. Mr. Mokobung was at that stage aware of a white Hyundai parked nearby. Paragraph 63. As they were driving along to their destination, about 1 kilometer from Brian Maestro, the I-20 was still following them. Paragraph 64. As they were approaching a traffic light, the occupants of the I-20 started shooting at them. Paragraph 65. Not far from where the shooting started, Mr. Masongu, who was the driver, had to bring the car to a standstill because he was wounded. Paragraph 66. Mr. Mokobung then jumped out of the car and tried to escape. 67. 2 shooters followed him. He tripped and fell, and they started shooting. Paragraph 66. Mr. Mokobung and his 2 friends were seriously wounded and was rushed to hospital when help arrived. Paragraph 69. Mr. Mokobung will testify that the police never came to take a statement from him. Paragraph 70. He decided to appoint a private investigator to establish who was behind the shooting. Paragraph 71. As a result of what the private investigator conveyed to him, he approached another acquaintance, Mr. Mufuni Zechariah Mutusi Shungwani, number 79, to arrange a meeting with accused number 3, who he knew before. Paragraph 72. In April 2024, the meeting took place and accused number 3 explained to him that as, and my lord, I don't know what I wrote there, but I'll try and paraphrase. Explained to him that he is one of the associates of Joseph Anyoni. He will remain as long as he associates himself with Joseph Anyoni. He will remain a threat to Muswati and his life will be in danger. So that should be as long. Correct that. Paragraph 73. A further meeting took place sometime after his first meeting, during which accused number 3 and him had a conversation regarding the attempts on the lives of Tebogo Tobojane and Joseph Anyoni. Paragraph 74. The following is further significant. On the 24th of January 2024, 5 days before the incident, 5 days before the attack on Mr. Mokobung, 10,000 rand was paid over from the business account of accused number 3 to the business account of accused number 5, who in turn paid 4,500 rand over into the business account of accused number 2 in the same fashion as described in the Dobiyani incident. What is significant here, my lord, again, it was only going from one FNB account to the other FNB account to a third FNB account. Paragraph 75. From an analysis of the cell phone data of accused number 1 and 2, their cell phones are placed near Brian Maestro and near the scene of crime on the 29th of January 2024. Paragraph 76. Further, one of the firearms seized at the residence of accused number 1 was also ballistically linked to the crime scene relevant here. Paragraph 77. Significantly, the original police docket curiously disappeared after the incident. When the current team tried to trace the docket because of the firearm linkages with the crime scene, that docket was nowhere to be found, and they had to reconstruct the docket. It was only then, in June 2025, that statements from the complainants were obtained. Now, finally, my lord, I'm going to refer to the arrest of accused number 1 and 2 because it is quite relevant. Paragraph 78. Accused 1 and 2 were arrested on the 17th of April 2025 by Captain Pini Alfred Sekobela, number 86 on the list, and Captain Thomas Tutetsi, number 87, with the assistance of Christian Frederick Shepard, number 88, from a private security company. Paragraph 79. This arrest led the police to accused number 1's address at number 34Q, 5th Road in Q, Ramley, where a white Hyundai i20 was discovered with 3 firearms in a carry bag behind the driver's seat. The 3 firearms were 1 AK-47 and 2 pistols, and one of which the serial number was scratched out. This pistol was forensically linked to the crime scene in the Mokibung incident. As already stated, the AK-47 was forensically linked to the crime scene in the Sabanyoni incident. Accused 1's fingerprints were also found on the white Hyundai i20. My lord, for ease of reference, I've attached here a little chart that was compiled, just showing what was seized on the day in Ramley and how it is linked to the 2 crime scenes. Well, that concludes the summary of the case. Of course, I don't believe that it is a complete summary, but at least it's an outline.
Right, the accused, we've done the plea proceedings, you've pleaded to the charges, I've had the submissions by counsel, and the state has now read the 150 address. I just want to move on to the next aspect of this matter, where I just want to explain certain matters to you before we start with the evidence. So you would have noted that in respect of the charges of attempted murder, and I'm speaking to those accused, you know which of you have been charged with attempted murder, it's accused number 1, 2, and 3. The state has preferred to charge you with the crimes of attempted murder read together with the provisions of section 51, subsection 1 of Act 105 of 1997, which prescribes in the ordinary course of business the imposition of life imprisonment unless there are truly seen to be substantial and compelling circumstances that may cause a court to deviate in the imposition of the prescribed minimum sentence of life imprisonment. Then you will find that in terms of the illegal possession of prohibited firearm, the prescribed sentence is one of 25 years in the event that you are convicted. Illegal possession of ammunition, the state has preferred to charge you together with the provisions of section 51, subsection 2 of Act 105 of 1997, which prescribes in the ordinary course of business a minimum sentence of 15 years imprisonment unless there are truly seen to be substantial and compelling circumstances that may cause a court to deviate in the imposition of the prescribed minimum sentence of 15 years imprisonment. Then, essentially, the state has indicated the penalty provisions to the accused persons at the time of you pleading. Now, the court believes that it's important and imperative that it explains to you right at the outset of the proceedings the implications that can come your way in the event of a conviction. So what I want to do is be mindful of the fact that from this point onwards, when the state is leading its evidence, it is going to argue at the end of the day that in the event that accused persons are convicted, that the court must now proceed to apply the provisions of the Minimum Sentences Act as well. Now, to that extent, I want to invite the accused persons that I do not want you to sit in the accused dock, relax there, and contemplate life. I want you to take an active part in your defense during the course of this trial. To that extent, what I'm going to do and what I will allow is allow each and every single accused person to be provided with writing material so that whilst the evidence of the witness is being tendered, you will be able to make notes, and then once your counsel or your legal representative is finished with their cross-examination, I shall grant you a firm and a fair opportunity to speak to your counsel in order to raise the issues that you want to raise. So two things will happen. One, it will obviate the need for you every few moments to put your hand up and to attract the attention of your counsel and disturb your counsel with their chain of thought. Two, it will ensure that at all material times you will have a proper opportunity to put your version to all the witnesses. So it is your trial, it is your duty to ensure that you participate. It doesn't mean that you're the accused and you're sitting out there, you're sitting in a movie house and you're just watching what's happening. I want you to please participate at all material times. At any point in time during the course of the trial, if there's something urgent that you need to raise to the court, even if it's before you're given the opportunity, you are more than welcome to raise your hand, attract the attention of the court, and the court will come to your assistance. Remember what the court said at the outset? That we fight jealously to ensure that the accused persons enjoy the right to a fair trial, a right to a speedy trial, the right to adduce and to challenge evidence. So I want you to become included in this particular process, and I'm certain that it will make life easier for everyone. For at the end of the process, when the evidence of the witness is given, I don't want that witness to leave the court where an accused person said, you know, I should have asked him 1, 2, 3, or 4. The reason simply for that is you are given that opportunity because in the event that you are convicted on a charge or charges, the implications are dire. You are facing in the ordinary course of business life imprisonment on some of the counts, then 15 years imprisonment. So any of these counts that the state has preferred against the accused, the ramifications thereof have far-reaching consequences for the accused. So at all material times during the course of the trial, this is your trial, and we shall work together during the entire trial to ensure that the evidence is placed before the court, as well as to give counsel and yourself the opportunity to be able to challenge such evidence. We also then are going to work towards looking at the times per day and try and get the maximum amount of time in sitting time so that we can progress and try and finalize the matter in the days allocated. Accused number 1, can I ask you, are you comfortable thus far from the time that we started up until now? Is there anything that you'd like to indicate to the court, anything that you want assistance with, or are you comfortable? You're happy? Excellent, thank you. Accused number 2, sir, are you comfortable? Are you happy with the proceedings thus far? Is there anything that you'd like to add?
No, at this moment.
You comfortable? Excellent. Accused number 3, sir, are you comfortable thus far with the proceedings? Excellent, good, thank you so much. Accused number 4, are you comfortable thus far with the proceedings? Lovely, thank you so much. You may take a seat. Accused number 5, are you comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Good. And you do understand and appreciate what the court has explained to you at all material times. Do not be afraid to put your hand up in the event that you cannot wait for your counsel to finish, okay? And whatever challenges you may have, please bring it to the attention of the court, because it is the duty of the court to ensure that both the parties before it are treated fairly, and that both the parties before the court, their rights are not being trampled upon. Good. Mr. Gissing, is there anything that you'd like to say before we leave the preliminary proceedings?
Nothing, thank you.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Good, thank you so much. Mr. Khove, is there anything that you'd like to say?
My Lord, no, except that I would request, if possible, that we can have a few minutes to consult with the accused in court once the court has adjourned,
Okay.
just to speed up proceedings.
Excellent, okay. I think what we'll do is, on a daily basis in the afternoon before we take the adjournment, I think I'll give you an opportunity, whilst the court is making his notes, to be able to approach the accused and to have a chat to them so that you can plan for the next day.
Thank you, my Lord. I'm
Good.
indebted.
Just give me 1 second.